Okay, excuse me. Welcome back. This is going to be our last one for today. I want to talk a little bit about Elijah as he met with Jesus on the Mount of Transfiguration. We did a Bible study, and I put it in this false teaching category because so many times I hear preachers that claim that Enoch and Elijah went into God's presence without dying. And my argument is that before Christ came and died on the cross, no man could enter into God's presence. When man sinned, when Adam sinned in the Garden of Eden, they were separated spiritually and physically. They died spiritually, they were dead in their sins, and then they were kicked out of the Garden of Eden and separated from God. And so when they died, they could not go into God's presence. So God prepared a place for them called Hades that was divided into two sides. One side was a side where there was a hope of redemption, and the other side was where, you know, there wasn't hope. And basically the difference then was believing in the promise of a Messiah, where now we believe that the Messiah has come. We have faith in the resurrection of Christ, that he was the Messiah. Before, it was having a hope that the Messiah would come. But but to make the claim that Elijah and Enoch went into God's presence without dying just isn't legitimate. It's not true. It didn't happen. And so uh, I basically made an argument that I think they lived out their lives and died on earth. And you can go back and watch those videos to find out how I come to those conclusions if you haven't watched them yet. But I want to look, one of the things that I talked about in Elijah was all the things that happened after he was taken up, where he kept reappearing. One was one was that everybody thought they'd put him down and wanted to go search for him. And then the second one was a king had killed all his brothers so that nobody could threaten his throne. And Elijah sent him a letter. It's like 5 years after he was taken up. And then 10 or 11 years later, another king was anointed that the Bible says that God had appointed Elijah to anoint this king. And shortly after, some things happened where that king confirmed, these are the words that Elijah told me. I mean, Elijah could not have told him those words if he hadn't have been there. And so all of these things. But then we see in the New Testament, Jesus comes to this Mount of Transfiguration, and he sees Noah, he sees Moses and Elijah, which to me suggests that they are together. This is before Jesus died. So they're still in Hades in a place called Abraham's bosom. But Jesus has this encounter with them, and wherever they are at, they are together. So Elijah is in the same place that Moses is at. He's not somewhere off by himself or somewhere with Enoch. Wherever he is at, he is with Moses. And so I want to read this account real quick. All right. And so this is Matthew chapter 17. And this is where Jesus takes Peter, James, and John and brings them to this high mountain, and was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun, his raiment as white as the light. And behold, there appeared unto him Moses and Elijah talking with him. And answered Peter and said unto Jesus, Lord, is it good for us to be here? If thou wilt, let us make thee 3 tabernacles, one for thee, and one for Moses, and one for Elias. And while he spoke, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and a voice of the cloud which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him. And then the disciples heard it. They fell on their face and were sore afraid. And Jesus came and touched them and said, Arise, be not afraid. Now, what happens? Jesus allowed them to see this picture of him talking to Moses and Elijah. And they were like, well, let's build these what do you call it, 3 tabernacles. They wanted to build altars for all 3 of them. But God basically said Jesus is the one here, and they were afraid. And so verse 9 says, as they came down from the mountain, Jesus charged them, saying, Tell the vision to no man until the Son of Man be risen again from the dead. And his disciples asked him, Why then say the scribes that Elijah is coming back? Why then say the scribes that Elias must first come? They just saw Elias. They just saw Elijah with Moses on this Mount of Transfiguration, and they're asking why. If Elijah is not coming back, then why do all of the scribes say that he is? You see what I'm saying here? And Jesus answered and said, Elias truly shall first come and restore all things. But I say unto you that Elias has already come, and they knew him not, but have done unto him whatsoever they listed. Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer for them. And the disciples understood that he spoke to them of John the Baptist. What did I say in my previous one? Jesus said that the Elias that was to come was John the Baptist. And so here he's saying it again. They understand. He's saying Elias has already come. Why? Why? They just saw him. They just saw Elijah and Moses together, and they said, why are the scribes saying that he's coming back? And Jesus said, well, he came back, but he came back as John the Baptist. And so they didn't recognize him. And so I think Elijah and Enoch both have passed. I think they died on this earth. I think Enoch was buried by God. And so God took him and nobody knew where they buried him, just like he did with Moses. But I think they died on this earth. I think they went into Hades and they were on that one side of Abraham's bosom until Christ died. And now I think they're in heaven. And I don't think either one of them are coming back. There seems to be some idea that they are the two witnesses at the Wailing Wall. I don't see anywhere in the Bible where it says the two witnesses are going to come from history. So I guess the only reason people think that is because they think these two men did not die and they have to come back and die. But I don't know. You can study that for yourself and pray for the Lord's leading and guiding. I mean, it's an interesting study. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. That's going to be it for me. I'm going to take some time off. I'll come back this spring with another Bible study, but take a little bit of a break here. We've been going for 15, 16, 17 straight months. So maybe it's a good time to take a couple months off and have a break. But I'll see you back in a few months. Hope you have a good winter. God bless you.